That's right, folks. It's Sunday, and there's another Sunday Live Sit show. We start answering all your start sit questions for the next 2 hours. We're here to bring you weather updates, injury updates, everything you need to know to set your lineups for week 6, starting right now on the Razzball Fantasy YouTube channel. Oh, geez. Good start. I was supposed to have a third person up there. All right, folks. Yes, it's Thursday. It's Sunday. It's Sunday Live, folks. This is the best part about doing a live show. You're going to just have some corks. Today, we got a mosh posh of gentlemen on the show today. We got Jeff Kazar. We have Matthew Styles. Jeff's a little emotional because his Jags suck. And then we have the Hurricane, Matt officially defeating Hurricane Milton this week. Huge victory. Honestly, excited. Hurricane Survivor could put that as a part of your bio now on Razzball. So we're super excited to have this team together. Sky will be joining us for the second hour. But before we get started to all the start sit questions, we want to appreciate everybody for joining us on another Sunday Live for week 6. It's been an interesting year so far. A lot of fun injuries that have caused a lot of people to dive deep. So we're excited to break down some of those today. We're going to have a few of those into our injury report for at 9 o'clock. But obviously, Jeff, before we even get started, your Jags are kind of struggling a little bit. I know you had a little bit off-camera rant, but is there just some high-level things you want to tell the people about what you see with this Jags offense so far?
Yeah, the offense is just not in tune right now. They're not taking deep shots. It's third and short, third and long, and every throw is underneath the marker, the first down marker. And you can't rely on the receivers to break a tackle. This Bears defense is surprisingly better than I anticipated going into this season. So they're going to have to get creative. Additionally, sorry to keep going, but ETN just doesn't look the same. The shoulder injury, he's not running hard. I think Tank is only between the tackles and not really tossing him the ball. So when they're throwing in Dearness Johnson, it's pretty obvious it's a passing down. So when you become predictable as an offense, the defense can just blitz away. O-line can't protect Trevor, and Trevor fake spins, not making quick decisions, running too quickly, not letting plays develop. So I think play calling needs to change. And I'll end right there. Sorry.
That's okay. Listen, Jeff, I get it. As a Giants fan, I've experienced a lot of emotions over the last few years, even though Danny Dimes is now becoming the next Patrick Mahomes out there, beating Seattle on the road last week. So super stoked about that. Matthew Styles, by the way, congratulations, man. I'm glad that everything worked out this week. Honestly, it just adds to your whole bio, your what's the word I'm looking for? Your nostalgia, your like
I have a
aura.
lore.
Your
There's a
lore,
lore
you know
about
what I
me,
mean?
right?
Now
It's
you
like
got that.
I'll be in history books.
You can't even get taken out by anything at this point. You're invincible. I mean, obviously, you can't. I don't even think you're gonna have a bad take all day today. Glad to have you on the show. Right back into Sunday Live. How you feeling, big guy?
I'm feeling good. I'm going to give you my first lock of the day. Are you ready?
Oh, geez, already. Look out, kids.
Sit Travis Etienne. Bob, I throw it back to you.
Yeah, man, I love it. Nothing better than after the game starts takes, baby. Like Jordan, we should start a Sunday live show that starts after the 1 o'clock games on the East
Yeah,
Coast.
and
And
my,
just like,
my
don't
second,
start these guys.
yeah, that's my 1A. My 1B is if you're really struggling at tight end, give Cole Kmet a look this week.
Nice. I love it. I love it. Perfect. All right. Listen, that's enough of this stuff. We're gonna Matt's like Matt, you should just start giving takes from last week. Be like you missed last week, and just be like, all right, listen, in week 5, I think you should start this guy. So
DJ Moore in week 5. Sure start.
take advantage of your pass, by the way. You get a pass this week because of what you went through. You can have as many bad takes as you want, or any fake takes. I don't even care. That's how much we love you. All right, today's honestly week 6, Matt. Just so you know, there's going to be games on starting shortly. There's a London game on right now that Jeff's just all about. If you haven't seen the logo of the Jags on his chest, right over his heart, he's feeling every second of those 3 points. His kicker at least they made a field goal. We're proud of that. All right, but we're here to answer some start sit questions. We got some key studs like Lindorphins, Epic Fail, Jets fan, Bill Dino, Jamie, Official Savage. The usuals are all on the show. And by the way, guys, we would love you guys all being on the show today. We're going to start rolling on these start sit questions. Make sure you stay for the 9 o'clock. We have some interesting injury nuggets today. There is some potential weather in some games, which we'll break down as well later. But here we go. We got Lindorphins coming in first today. By the way, congratulations, Lindorphins. By the way, first in. I'm proud of you. Week 6. This is like your midseason form. This is what we love about you. He's got it, assuming that Pittman plays, which he is in today. He's playing against the Titans. But he has an option to pivot to Darius Slayton with Malik Neighbors out playing Sunday night against a Bengals secondary. Now, listen, Anthony Richardson's back this week. It's not going to be Joe Flacco. If it was Flacco, honestly, you would just start everybody. You would start the 5th receiver on the team because Flacco's going to get him some points. But, Jeff, what's your first thoughts here? Are you going to go with Pittman active with Anthony Richardson? Or are you going to pivot to Darius Slayton on Sunday Night Football with Neighbors out?
Yeah, I saw this as the first question, and might be one of the harder ones of the day. I just don't trust Anthony Richardson as a thrower, and I feel like just hurts Pittman. Pittman hasn't really looked well with Richardson as quarterback, but Slayton has looked well with Danny Dime. I think Danny Dime's better than Trevor Lawrence now, getting it back to Jags. But you know what? I want to go with Slayton tonight. I think Danny Dimes is going to have a trick up his sleeve tonight.
Matthew Styles.
Yeah, this one's kind of easy for me. I'll start by saying that the eye test says that Anthony Richardson is a Temu Justin Fields. He can run. He can do things that you like that pop off the stat page. That when you see a good run or a scramble for a touchdown or whatnot, it looks great. But I don't know that he's an NFL quarterback, right? Well, he is clearly. He's getting paid to be one. But until I can see him stay in the pocket, use his protection, which in Indy is pretty darn good, and chuck the ball down the field to the people that deserve to be catching the football, I don't know that I trust him. And as much as Cincinnati can score points, they have been absolutely lit up through the air. So I think I'm going to lean with Slayton for those two reasons.
Yeah, I for me, it's more about like number one, the matchup. Tennessee Titans have been tough against perimeter receivers this year, and on top of that, Cincinnati has not been. I mean, we just kind of. I think at this point, I'm going to go matchup with Neighbors out. Slayton actually put on a freaking show last week as Danny Dimes, number one. Danny looks better. I don't know what happened in 2023, but he looks to be what he was in 22. And so I'm going to go with the matchup. By the way, I feel like the Bengals are going to put up points. The Bengals are desperate. They need to win this game. So the Bengals are going to come to play. I think it's going to be a fun game. So I'm going to have some fun tonight. Let's go Darius Slayton over Michael Pittman and the Endorphins. Thank you for putting us on the test right off the bat. I think we went 3 for 3 there as well. All right. Scott Eminger, by the way, coming in hot. By the way, if you don't know what this is, baby, it's a super chat. Scott is an OG from way back in the day. Shout out to Buck and Ryan from our days over there at Fantasy Focused. We really do appreciate you jumping over here, Scott, and join us on the Sunday Live. If you want to become a super chatter, we'll get to your questions right away. By the way, as a reminder for everybody who's been a part of the show, at the end of the year, we send 10% of all our proceeds that we get from Super Chats over to Good Sports. It's a charity organization that provides sporting equipment to underprivileged communities to help kids play sports. So that's something we do at the end of the year. So we're hoping that we can get something here. We got maybe like $50 so far. So help us get to our goal, and we can kick a really nice donation at the end of the year during Christmas time, folks. So we really would appreciate it. Scott, thank you for doing this right now. Right off the bat, we got Kyler Murray playing up in Green Bay versus Kirk Cousins and the Carolina Panthers. Now, Panthers game, Kirk Cousins on the road. Jeff, any hesitation playing maybe a Kyler Murray on the road in Green Bay versus a Kirk Cousins on the road against the Carolina Panthers?
No, this was a really good question. Kyler Murray is playing better now. McBride is back. I know they're in Green Bay. I don't know how the weather is looking right now there. It's supposed to be raining, an ugly game there, so that has me kind of concerned. But that may mean he runs more, which is good. Cousins has the better matchup of the two, but the Panthers can't stop the pass, so they can't stop the run. So it could be a Bijan day for all we know. But I know Drake London will be highly involved, same with Pitt. So I want to lean Cousins, but I'd have a hard time benching Kyler Murray right now. So for that answer, I'm going to lean towards Kyler, but I think you can't go wrong with either, unfortunately.
Yeah,
Matthew.
I think my answer is, without going too in depth, is relatively similar to Jeff's. And it all comes down to Cousins put up what 48, 49 points last week in a really fun game to watch. But I just don't have the guts or the eggs to sit Kyler Murray. I think Green Bay's defense has been kind of doing what they've been doing with smoke and mirrors. Xavier McKinney has an interception in 5 straight games with the Packers, his new team. I don't know how long that can stay. By the way, he also has a fumble recovery too. Insane start to his season as a free agent. I just don't. Again, the eye test for me, I watch Green Bay's D, and they're kind of bend don't break. But then when they do break, they break pretty significantly. So I'm going to go with Murray. I think Green Bay wins the game, but I think Murray has to play with a game script that affords him more opportunity to put points on the board, where Cousins, again, Tyler Algier, maybe Bijan needs a little bit of rest to get fully healthy, but I think they're going to run the ball a little bit more. So give me Murray ever so slightly. But Scott, for you, it's a good problem to have, and I would say whichever one allows you to have the most fun watching football today is probably your pick. But for the two of us so far, it's going to be Kyler Murray.
Yeah, I'm going to make it 3 for 3. I think this one is where both matchups are good. I'm not going to – it's not like it's Murray in a tough matchup, and so you go Kirk Cousins because he's got a good matchup against the Panthers. The Packers have not been a great defense for first quarterbacks this season. So I'm actually going to go Murray. Give me the dual threat. I know that there's a little bit of weather going on in Green Bay, maybe some rain early on in that game. Overall, it should clear up pretty fast because it looks like it's raining right now. And I think that by 2 o'clock, the end of the first half, that game should be fine. So there is a little bit of weather that makes me concerned, but I'm actually good. I think it's a big Bijan week this week, and Tyler Algier, and maybe Cousins doesn't have to have a huge game against the Panthers. So I'm actually going to go Murray as well. Let's jump back into the other questions here.
And
All
Bob,
right,
I do have one more thing about Super Chat. We're looking at having to replace part of our roof due to the storm. So anybody that wants to throw $1,250 for my
nice.
for my my insurance premium, go ahead and throw that in the Super Chat. We'll go ahead and just peel that off for me real quick, and we'll get right to the roof repairs.
Yeah, no, thank you.
The insurance term,
because that's what it's really all about. And by the way, just a fun fact. Yes, Matt, we do really support you. We want to make sure that all proceeds, not Good Sports, is going to go to Good Matt. We're going to go give all our proceeds to Matt now to help him pay for his roof. Sorry, children in those communities, but Matt needs a roof. So all good there. But on a side note, here's some fun fact, by the way. Go back to Scott's question. I just wanted to take a quick look at our tools on Razzball.com, the home versus away split. Kirk Cousins is a little worse on the road, and Kyler Murray is a little better on the road over the last 18 weeks. So I'm going to lean Murray. That gives you a little more feather in the cap there as well for your start sit question. Scott, thank you for the super chat, and thank you for paying for one shingle of Matt's roof. All right. Also at half PPR, how would you rank Addison, Worthy, and Pittman rest of season? May need to drop one. So, by the way, Lindorphins, if you haven't checked it out, I did a slot versus wide rest of season. Well, not really rest of season, but the next 5 weeks show. Talked a little bit about some of the best slot and out wide matchups over the next few weeks. But Lindorphins, I'll tell you this. I'm going to let the guys answer. Next week, we're dropping the rest of season slot versus wide schedule. So you'll have a whole tool to use to figure out which teams have the best rest of season schedules. I can give you a nugget here that Addison after the bye has an insane schedule. So if you're a 2-3, 1-4, 0-5 team and you need a spark, Addison is someone I talked about in that show. Jeff, kick over to you. Who are you feeling the most of these three?
Yeah, I do like Addison over kind of how we listed him already right there. With Pittman, as to the earlier question, you just don't really know who's going to be the quarterback there, and that really has a huge impact on him. Worthy is going to have his boom and bust games with no receiver cores, with that receiver core being injured in Kansas City. But I guess it's Sammy D season, Matt, and Addison's the guy here. So I would list Addison, Worthy, and then Pittman. And then I would hate to drop Pittman if you had to, just because you could probably try and trade for him on name value. So I'd be curious who your other drops might be, but I would not drop any of these three if you had to.
Same for me, same order. I don't like Pittman with Richardson. I think you can trade Pittman, name value alone, right? Mentioned his 100+ catch season last year when you send the trade offer, and hope for the best. But Addison, 9 catches, 16 targets so far. I think he was injured. Was that week 1? Maybe it was week 1 that he was injured. So his numbers aren't great, but as Bob says, he's got a good schedule coming in the second half. And Sam Darnold's had 1 bad game, and they still won the football game, which is crazy. Give him. I don't want to drop any of these people, but I will tell you, my gut says the lowest amount of touches is going to be Xavier Worthy. It's scary to drop who appears to be the best current wide receiver for the Chiefs. So I'm with Jeff in that. I'm assuming you've got 2 kickers, defenses, or tight ends, and one of those is probably a better drop than one of the receivers. And then I'll ask Jeff, what just happened in the game that I missed because I saw your reaction?
Yeah, Trevor underthrew Brian Thomas for a touchdown on a little play action. We just talked about it.
Why am I so far behind? This is what annoys me. I have NFL. I have the app. What are you guys watching your games on?
You're 3 hours behind, Bob. That's the problem.
That's what it is. That's what it is. Good point. I'll just go fuck myself. All right. Anyway, sorry, kids. Sorry, kids that were watching. I'm always like 3 plays behind. I don't even know
Bob's
why.
watching week 5.
Yeah, it's week 5. I'm with Matt right now. You know what I mean? We're preparing for the hurricane at this point. That's how ridiculously behind I am. Anyway, so here's a nugget, by the way, for next the chart that's coming out. The Minnesota Vikings have the 9th best rest of season out wide schedule. Guess who's dead last? Take a guess. Who wants to take a guess? Who's the worst rest of season? Indianapolis Colts. This is a Michael Pittman. Please go trade him now. Like, if you have Michael Pittman, 2 for 1. You can't trade Pittman and maybe an RB2 to upgrade to a higher RB2, and have Pittman as the nugget to give as a flex to another team. Get him off your rosters. You can't drop Pittman, but get him off your rosters. I don't even think you could drop any of these guys. Worthy is probably the type of player where you would logically think a rookie's going to get stronger to the end of the year. Now, granted, the Kansas City Chiefs have the 27th toughest schedule out wide, but Worthy gets his touches in a bunch of different ways. So I'm not dropping Worthy because the whole point of having Worthy was you think rookies get better in the second half typically. So I would rather keep Addison and Worthy, but Pittman's not droppable here. So Endorphins, start doing it right now. Get off the show. I'll give you permission. Get off the podcast and please go reach out to every single one of your league mates. 2 for 1 trade offers. Pittman and X player for a slight upgrade. Just start farming him out. Try to give yourself a little upgrade. Even at the wide receiver position, if you have an extra depth at running back, you can do as well. All right, Cosmo. By the way, love the name, love the vibe. Scott Eminger. By the way, Cosmo, we're coming right back to because Scott Eminger. Right back at it. By the way, this is what we love about Scott. Listen, Scott's paid. Basically, Matt's going to have to rename his roof the Scott Eminger roof because at this point, Scott's handling. That's the second shingle. We appreciate you, Scott. We got one more PPR flex spot: Sermon, Ridley, Trey Tucker, or Kraft. Sermon obviously getting the spot start this week for an injured Jonathan Taylor against Tennessee Titans. Calvin Ridley has a big time matchup against the Colts, who have been banged up in the secondary. Trey Tucker, of course, we know. The Raiders are down both starting receivers in Myers and Devontae Adams, but they have a really tough matchup this week against the Denver Broncos. And then Tucker Kraft, my new favorite tight end. God, I'm excited about him. The Packers are taking on the why can't I think of the team now? They're taking on the Arizona Cardinals this week. So we got Bills Mafia, Good Sports, Buck Army. By the way, that's shout out to Buck. Roof Shingles gets in there, by the way. The hashtag is now trending on Twitter. Elon, be aware that hashtag Roof Shingles for Matt is the full hashtag. Go ahead, Jeff. What do you think?
Yeah, out of these 4, I'm between 2 guys. It's either Ridley or Kraft, but I'm going to go with Ridley. Levis is healthy and back, and Ridley did score a touchdown in his first home game with Levis, so I think with them going against Indy, I'm going to roll with Calvin Ridley in this one.
I'm going to put Ridley third out of the 4. Ridley's had 1 game, and then he's had 3 duds. I want to see it from – and again, he's a fantastic football player, so I don't understand what's happening. Maybe it's the Will Levis effect. So I'm just not into starting him yet because Sermon should get the majority of the touches. Now, he only averaged 3.8, 10 carries, 38 yards last week. But 10 carries, double digits, we like that. Plus, he caught 6 targets for 25 yards. That's a good number. By the way, we thought he would be the first and second down back, and Tyler Goodson would be the receiving back. So he out-touched Goodson quite a bit, and he fell into the end zone. So now he also had 2 stops in the red zone where he didn't get into the end zone, but give me the touches with Sermon. If you want to go Kraft, it doesn't appear to be tight end premium. But yeah, well, Bob's right. Tight end Tucker Kraft is now the greatest tight end to ever play in the NFL, and behind Cole Kmet today. But Kraft can jump back in front. I love Kraft, again, a Packers homer, but for me, I think I'm leaning Sermon, Kraft, Ridley, and I'm not interested in Tucker with no receivers in front of him, and Aiden O'Connell with his first start of the year.
So the one thing I will say too is last week we were talking Flacco. And Flacco, the statue quarterback, much more pass volume, and those 6 targets that Sermon got, you're not going to see with Anthony Richardson. Not going to happen. The Tennessee Titans, you beat them potentially probably through the air. I mean, listen, the Titans have always been really good at stopping the run. And so, to be honest with you, like, I'm not overly – I was wrong about Sermon last week because he got into the end zone. This week, I don't think it's going to happen again. I honestly don't. And Ridley, listen, Ridley's probably the play in the sense of he's got the matchup. This is the week you probably could start him. But my opinion is, like, I wonder who your tight end is, because Kraft, to me, against Arizona in that game, I think Kraft is becoming like an every week starter. The guy I feel the most comfortable with is Kraft. I think he has the highest floor. I think he's going to take his game to another level. I think now Luke Musgrave is gone. It's Kraft's show. It's literally Kraft. It's the cheesehead, and his name's Kraft. I mean, like, can we get more synergy with Kraft, Tucker Kraft, mac and cheese right here? So I'm going to go Tucker Kraft.
Not sponsored, by the way. We are
not yet,
sponsored.
at least. Not yet.
Yeah.
So I'm actually going to go Tucker Kraft in this one of this group because I think the matchup is winnable. He's proven to, by the way, all the turmoil at wide receiver, Watson in and out of the lineup. Wicks can't catch a cold, but and then you got Dobbs with the whole, not showing up for the games. I think Kraft with the Luke Musgrave IR situation has entered every week starter mode. So call it nuts. I'm going to go with the double tight end based on what Scott has at the other tight end position. Love it.
Yeah.
All right.
Maybe we need to see no super chat from Scott, but just drop us who your tight end 1 is. Then we can give you the best of best answers.
McBride's the starter.
It.
Yeah.
Right. So it's same game. I'm good with going double tight end. Give me 2.
Yep.
Give me 2, baby, if you need to do it, baby. I'm excited. But Calvin Ridley, too, if you want more juice in your lineup, you want that high upside wide receiver, I'm fine with that as well. I think, of course, the touches. I think this is a really good structure of this flex spot. I think at this point you offer yourself a lot of floor plays with a guy like Sermon this week. But to be honest with you, I think Kraft is going to enter every week starter mode very shortly. And you probably can package X player with McBride or X player with, I wouldn't trade Kraft, but McBride and X player to get an upgrade at running back wide receiver because Kraft will become an every week starter for you. That's how confident I am in him in this one. All right. Cosmo, thank you for your patience. We appreciate you. Obviously, we got half PPR, Javonte Williams and Trey Sermon. Trey's back again, folks. Javonte in Denver has a by the way, Denver's not playing. Who's Denver got this week? It's not the Raiders. They do?
Yeah.
Why do I think they played last week? Javante's got a smash spot then against the Vegas Raiders, and then you also have Sermon against the Tennessee Titans. Jeff, what's your thoughts here?
Yeah, I do like Javonte in this matchup, but Sean Payton's been really funky with these running backs. Javonte starts well, he's catching 5-6 balls, and then in the goal line, it's some random guy. Week after week, it's McLaughlin. Estime, I think, is back this week. He's fully healthy.
Denver, by the way, that's not right. Denver has the Chargers this week. They played the Raiders last week.
Sweet. You're right.
I knew that wasn't right. Yeah, Javonte had the Najee Harris and the Steelers have the Raiders. That's my apologies, everybody. So it's Javonte is playing against the Chargers.
Yeah. Maybe it is a Trey Sermon day after all now. Chargers defense is good against the run and coming off a bye. I don't really like starting running backs for defenses coming off a bye. They're healthy. They've got a good game plan against them. Bo Nix, surprisingly, he has more rushing touchdowns behind Jaden Daniels. He's second in the league in rushing touchdowns. So in the goal line, Bo Nix is going to steal that rushing touchdown. So I'm going to go with Trey Sermon in this one.
Boys, have you ever been to Vegas and played blackjack and sat next to a know-it-all that says, hey, the book says this is what you split, this is where you stay, this is where you hit? You been around one of those guys?
Yeah.
So for me, the book would probably say Javonte is the play, which means that he's probably not the play today against the Chargers coming off a bye. So this is a pure gut play for me. I think the Colts need to realize that Richardson, it needs to be a smarter game plan. It needs to be a little bit less of him getting into trouble, right? He can't run as much because he's going to continue to get injured when he does, even with his big frame. So gut play purely for me, Cosmo. I'm going to lean Sermon over Javonte, but Mr. Vegas probably tells you the book says Javonte. I'm going Sermon.
Yeah, the Titans have been. So if you look at the Titans, they've where they have allowed their fantasy points is in the receiving game. They have allowed 3 receiving touchdowns, but their running games have not been great. I just don't buy that Anthony Richardson is going to check down to Trey Sermon today. I'm going to lean Javonte. I'm going to go Javonte, the Chargers matchup. But by the way, we're going to go over the injury report. The Denver Broncos interior offensive line is banged up. They're also going to be down to their 3rd right tackle in this game. Chargers are one of my favorite streamer defenses this week, so I know I'm talking out of both sides of my mouth here, but I'm going to lean Javonte over Sermon in this matchup here, folks. All right, epic fail. By the way, epic fail. Oh, we got another one. All right, Flacco is starting.
I'm looking this up right now. Go ahead, Bob. I'm going to look it up.
Breaking news.
Is that breaking news? Don't do this to me. Don't you dare do this to me.
And by the way, ETN, his return is questionable.
Yeah, he needs a support.
Joe Flacco is in.
Wow, Richardson's the 3rd quarterback on the roster.
5 minutes ago. What? Oh, that gets me so happy.
Is that what you found, that he's the 3rd quarterback?
Yeah.
Oh, no, they put him as emergency quarterback.
Yeah, so he won't even be the first off. So the first question now, Pittman, he's back in play now, right?
Yeah, I would say so. I would be a lot more I mean, listen, the Titans are still a slot funnel defense. They are not a good matchup for outside receivers this season, but it definitely gets him back in the wide receiver 3 conversation. I wasn't going to touch.
I don't even understand what's happening.
What do you mean?
I'm not a Colts fan, right? I follow the NFL. This makes so much sense that it shouldn't be happening.
Right.
If Deshaun Watson, by the way, this is not my nickname. I heard the nickname on the internet. Osama bin Watson is the quarterback for the Browns. I mean, if that's not the best nickname you've ever heard. And people are now saying, right, that the Browns need to admit it. If he is still a starting quarterback in the NFL, how possibly is Anthony Richardson the emergency quarterback?
They're hiding behind injury here. So, like, Pro Football Doc talks about this all the time. The oblique injury, he did started practicing. What they're trying to say is, like, they want to give him another week off. They're like, hey, you're injured. Just take a minute, take a beat. By the way, we have this really good backup who, by the way, should be a starter and should be our starter. So until Anthony Richardson's 100% ready, they can hide behind the injury and let Flacco continue to play. So, by the way, the Titans allow the least amount of fantasy points out wide this season. So 8.2 fantasy points out wide this season for the Tennessee Titans. So Pittman is not a slam dunk here, especially with the back. Josh Downs, to me, is the guy you want in. If Flacco's playing, Josh Downs will be the guy you want. 55% of the fantasy points this season have been to the slot for the Titans defense, and that's where Josh Downs makes his living. But Official Savage, by the way, we appreciate you throwing $2 just to give the breaking news. This is why we love our community, baby. I love every second of that.
Is it possible that he's requesting to be on the payroll? Was that like a Venmo $2 request for the breaking news? If so,
it's the opposite. We owe him money now. Yeah, no, that definitely makes sense. Actually, that'd be really funny if that was how it worked. Cosmo, we're gonna do we already got to yours. Epic fail. Matt, after this one, I'm gonna kick it over to you. We got to run through some injuries on the back end to make sure we're ready for the 9 o'clock hour. Last one for me hosting here. Epic fail. We got PPR, Tank Dell, Shaheed, or maybe Josh Downs. And by the way, this to me makes it real easy. I'm going to go Downs with Flacco playing in PPR. Jeff, what's your thoughts?
Yeah, no, I'm going Downs with that breaking news. In my article earlier this week, I'm benching CJ Stroud in this upcoming matchup. And then with Shaheed, I also have him as the bench with the rookie quarterback going in there. So I think they're going to rely on a lot of Alvin Kamara in this one, running it with the rookie. I don't see that O-line having enough time to allow Rattler to throw the deep ball to Shaheed, let things develop. So with the breaking news, we're going to go with Downs.
I'm same way, right? It's going to be check down Spencer Rattler today. I wouldn't be shocked to see 10 targets for Kamara today with 12 to 15 carries as well. I love Shaheed as a fun player to watch. Tank Dell, everybody fell in love with him last year, but I mean, the rest of the show, I haven't even looked at the questions. It's going to be Downs, Pierce, Pittman for me, all down the list. So anybody just save your question. Those are the guys. Their must starts with Joe Flacco.
Well,
and by
I
the
do
way,
want
and again, I think Trey Sermon he goes above Javonte for sure with the Joe Flacco.
Yeah, I would feel a lot better about Sermon now. I agree. I actually might be okay starting Sermon, knowing that he'll get a couple more passing targets from Flacco this week than he would have with Richardson. But here's the other thing with Tank Dell. Got to remember, everybody, Tank Dell broke his foot. All right. So, like we talked about this in the preseason, it's going to take a little time for Tank Dell to get ramped up. But now the Nico Collins injury has shot him into auto drive. Like, I always thought Tank Dell was a fade because of the foot, because of the target competition. But now that we're getting to the second half of the year and there's going to be no Nico, I think that I'm concerned about Stroud on the road at New England today. I don't think it's a great matchup for him. I don't think it's a great match for Houston. But I think Tank Dell, we do have to address the fact that, yes, he's going to get healthier throughout the year. We saw, by the way, this was the same injury Tony Pollard had. And Pollard came out after the season and said, yeah, I never was right with my foot. Tank Dell could be the same exact situation, but I just don't think on the road in New England's the time to start him if you have Josh Downs with Joe Flacco as well. So that's just the last nugget. But, Matt, over to you for the next question.
Yeah, and I will say this about the Houston matchup on the road. I like Dalton Schultz better than I like Tank Dell today. I think this is a good matchup for Dalton Schultz today. So if you're streaming a tight end, I found him on the wire more times than not. It's interesting that he's there. But with Nico down, he is a good safety net. He can run without after the catch. So I'm interested in what Schultz will look like today. All right, Bob. So you're going to go into the hood for a little bit. Let me go ahead and run things.
I'm here to answer questions, of course,
Absolutely.
But Matt, you're running the show.
Yep. Jets fan. Now I'm curious. I have a weekly reader, Jets. I wonder if this is that same person. We'll see if he pops in the chat and tells me that that's him. Good morning back to you. Pick one. Kamani Vidal. For those of you that hadn't heard the breaking news before the Joe Flacco, Gus Edwards to the IR, which lifts Kamani Vidal up the depth chart a little bit. With J.K. Dobbins needing a breather here and there, and you can't run him between the tackles all day, Vidal might be a bye week consideration. Braylon Allen for the Jets, who, by the way, are in absolute disarray. I don't even know what to think, other than maybe the conspiracy theory is Aaron Rodgers doesn't like the Johnson & Johnson vaccine. Woody Johnson is of the Johnson & Johnson family. Did he go into the ayahuasca cave and come out thinking, you know what, I'm going to sabotage this team? So you guys discussed that offline.
Yeah.
Or Xavier Hutchinson, who is the kind of the sexy new waiver wire addition. Tank Dell broken foot, Bob just mentioned. No Nico. Joe Mixon coming off a pretty decent high ankle injury. So what do we think, Jeff? Do we like Kamani Vidal? Probably not. Do we like Xavier Hutchinson? I don't know. He's sexy new toy. Maybe he comes out and he's the the fresh face that we really want to see. Or do we think Braylon Allen's going to get more touches for the Jets? I really don't. How Breece Hall is not touching the ball often and early, I don't know. For me, I think it's a Jets fan question. I'm going to lean Braylon Allen. Aaron Rodgers will be calling all the plays today, by the way, at the line. So I think he recognizes talent. So for me, I haven't seen enough from the other two. Give me Braylon Allen as a good football player.
Yeah, no, I'm 100% with you on Allen as well. The Texans, I worry about after Collins went out last week in the second half. They only scored 6 points, and they only had 2 drives more than 40 yards. That's concerning. I know Mixon will be back today, so they might be better. But I think Stroud really, really relies on Collins a lot. So I think the offense really rolls through him. So I'm fading the Texans this week on the road in New England. Also, CJ Stroud, going back to my article that I wrote on my bench, he scores 6 less points on the road. That's a lot considering it's a quarterback. So I worry about that. Vidal is an interesting player to watch, but you can't start him today. I think J.K. Dobbins gets a lot of touches. And then I think Braylon Allen's interesting of the three. The Jets actually, going up against the Bills do allow, the second most points to running backs. Granted, a lot of that was due to Derrick Henry's big game, but I think Allen needs to get involved. I think the Jets have to spice it up a little bit, have both running backs on the field. So I think Allen is the play here.
By the way, Jets fan, this is your permission to do what you do. This is your name, Jets fan. Go with Braylon Allen. Just trust your gut here. You're not doing a homer thing. Vidal, by the way, Hutchinson Vidal, fantastic pick because I think Hutchinson is an interesting flyer, especially with the Nico injury. And I think Vidal, listen, I have a very bad take, but remember, Haseen Haskins, who is the third running back for the Chargers right now, who's a special teams ace, was a Michigan guy. He had some really big seasons in Michigan under Jim Harbaugh, and Harbaugh brought him in. And so I wouldn't be 100% shocked if Haskins gets the work for Gus Edwards this week. But it's to be determined. So I think it's too risky to go by now. I think Braylon Allen, by the way, Buffalo, the way you beat them is on the ground typically. So I think you can go with Braylon Allen in this one.
Dang.
All right, there you have it. Go ahead, Jeff. You got an update?
Yeah, looking at active players right now, Christian Watson's active. So the whole receiving core for the Packers is back.
All right, Jeff, don't be a dick, man. You know I'm about to do this at 9. I mean,
Sorry.
Jesus.
No, it's just breaking news. It's just interesting now because a lot of questions I see are about Kraft. So I don't know what kind of impact that has on Kraft answers.
I think it helps Kraft. But Bill Dino, I'm gonna speak for the panel here. Let's pump the brakes. Let's relax. Yes, we're in week 6. ETN has been trash. I don't know that a name that big in fantasy football is a straight up drop. It's a straight up bench right now. He's minus 1.0 points today and has been listed as questionable return. Jeff's watching the game. I would bet money that he's probably not seeing a lot of number 1 out on the field right now. Strangely enough, he's also not seeing number 7 catch the ball either, which I don't understand. Get the ball to Evan Ingram, get the ball to Brian Thomas, and give yourself a chance to win this football game. Jeff, do you see ETN as a drop or a bench?
Yeah, you have to bench him right now, unfortunately, in any format. But you can't drop him yet. Give it a few more weeks to kind of see what it looks like with Bigsby. But yeah, he's a bench right now.
Well, and Bigsby doesn't look great today either, right? That's a pretty tough run defense that they're going up against. Bob, are you dropping ETN or are you just benching him for now?
By the way, the Bears have been trashed against the run, actually. I mean, if you look at the numbers, they've been getting roasted by running backs this season. In these London games is that Caleb again?
Yeah.
Jesus, Jeff, what the fuck?
I wasn't going to say anything because you're behind, but yeah, it's embarrassing.
When did it happen? 3 hours ago that he threw his 4th touchdown of the day? Yeah, sweet.
Was it to DJ Moore?
No, it was to Keenan Allen.
Keenan Allen, yeah.
That's good stuff.
Tyson Campbell's out again, so just secondary is just not.
Oh, he just got it in. Anyway, I'm way back. Honestly, I am concerned. This is what I talked about a few weeks ago with Derek. Like, there's a couple running backs, including Rashad White with Bucky Irving, that the backup 1B back is a better pure runner. Like, ETN might be a better all-around back from their days with Clemson and has his ties with Trevor Lawrence, but Tank Bigsby is just a better runner. So I'm a little concerned about the long-term role of him, but you can't drop Travis Etienne. I think that this matchup is definitely alarming, but this game has gotten out of hand. I think the Jags defense needs to get their act together because they're getting blown out of games, and Lawrence has too many weapons to check down to his running back a lot. So when you have Evan Ingram and you have all these other options at the receiving core, like you're not going to get those cheap checkdowns a bunch, even in these kind of games. So honestly, yeah, I am concerned about Travis Etienne. I cannot drop him though, but my only advice would be is that pray at some point he hits a matchup and you can package him with another player. But at the same time, like if you pay down, like I don't know what a good option. What would be a good running back here to think about?
Algier.
Rico Dowdle. Would you guys trade ETN for Rico Dowdle?
No. Rico Dowdle's going to have 2 touchdowns today, and he'll be unattainable.
See, I would say, yeah, like if you're trading away ETN, absolutely. But I don't think Rico Dowdle owners are like, yeah, give me ETN right now. Maybe they do, depending on their roster.
That's a crazy statement. That's a wild statement.
Yeah.
Where are
only
we?
week 6, and we're saying this now.
What are we doing with ourselves? Yeah, I'm sorry,
Jeff,
Bill. This is a tough one.
So our resident Jags homer is Jeff, right? We know that. How many more weeks of rope does Doug Peterson have?
Man, I was talking to Bob about this behind the scenes. I don't know. I think they're going to have to relinquish Press Taylor as the OC. I know they're saying out loud and the public that everybody's fine. They're not fine. They can't be fine. They've regressed 2 years in a row now since losing to Kansas City barely in the playoffs. But they just regressed. And this year is looking worse than last year, honestly, with the hype going into the season. And, the offense is not doing anything. And Peter keeps saying, oh, I thought Press is calling good games. He's not. So I think if Peterson wants to keep his job, he's gonna have to take over. And if he doesn't take over, then I think he needs to go bye-bye. Unfortunately, I hate calling for someone to lose a job. That sucks, but he's not getting these guys to play. They're not putting him in position to be successful. And not to get too far ahead, but I would love them to go try and acquire Ben Johnson from the Lions.
As OC or head coach?
Either, but get him as a head coach, get him out of Detroit if you can. Pay the man. These young offensive minds. I mean, look what he's doing with Goff. Has kind of regressed a little bit this year, though. But overall, the Lions are humming. Like that offense just continues to find ways to score and do things. And maybe we need another change again. But to have 3 coaches for Trevor, that's kind of bad. That makes you wonder if he's the problem. But who knows? We'll see what happens. They could turn it around still.
So here's my thing, and I've seen the Packers do it. It was way more under the McCarthy era, but started a little bit when LaFleur came in at the start, is they would have those West Coast 15 plays scripted. Boom, right down the field, field goal or touchdown, everything looks good. And then they just go into this offensive lull for 2 quarters, quarter and a half. And I watched the beginning of this football game. Trevor Lawrence gets the football. They go right down the field. It was plotting. It was deliberate. It was good, right? They get stopped, so a field goal, but they still put points on the board. I think you get rid of the OC, let Doug Peterson call the plays, but figure out why are we not able to do it after the first drive? What do we do so well on the first drive that it resulted in 3 or 7 that we're not able to do? And by the way, should have been 7. Gabe Davis lets that ball pop right off his chest. Perfectly thrown pass. Something else must have happened. You just save it? Bob will tell us when he sees it. I'm guessing interception. I don't have the TV on, but all right. So we're going to move. Bill, pump the brakes. Bench, not a drop right now.
Yep.
Jamie, good morning to you too. Always good to see you in. Official Savage, after being our own Adam Schefter on the show, by the way, not affiliated with the show.
That was huge.
Yeah. Kraft by the way, I just got the update from Yahoo 30 seconds ago. Savage is 30 seconds ahead of Yahoo Sports. Amazing. That's what our listeners do. They're ahead of the game. They're ahead of the curve. Kraft or Goddard PPR, and we've also got a kicker report, please, from Savage. To me, Chase McLaughlin is my number 1 kicker of the week. Bob, you got an opinion? I know you're the kicker guru.
Yeah, it's Austin Cyber is the number 1 guy that I have in my metric this week. If you can get him from Washington, I don't have a lot of good streamers. I talked about this earlier in the week. The main guys that I have in my report include Younghoe Koo, McPherson, Matthew Wright, which already happened. Blake Groupie would be another interesting one, but we don't know what the Spencer Rattler situation is. Chris Boswell in Pittsburgh against the Raiders, and then of course the Packers kicker as well. So, but if my number one is Austin Cyber, if you can get, I put money on Austin Cyber today to get 8 fantasy points, so I'm in.
All right, Jeff, what do we think? Kraft or Goddard? I'm going to stick with Kraft. I think I've seen this Watson story before where he comes back, even though the football world didn't think he was ready. And guess what he did? He played a couple of plays. He ran a couple of routes. He didn't get much, love, but he was a person that pulled defense away from other people. I really think this is a Romeo Doubs get well week. He's apologized. His comments, his actions weren't professional. He said, it's on me. I'm taking responsibility. So I think that he's probably making well with LaFleur and Jordan Love. So to me, I like Doubs and I like Kraft because Kraft just seems to know what to do with his routes and when he gets the football. So even coming off a bye for Goddard, he's only had that one fantastic game. Give me Kraft as an every week starter.
Yeah, no, I do like Kraft. I know with everyone being healthy, they like to pass it to evenly distribute it to all the receivers, but I think Kraft is still going to be the guy. There's something about having a legitimate tight end. I feel like Kraft, this could be the early, story of like a McBride a season ago. The unknown tight end becomes a guy in a good offense with a good quarterback. And it's a good story. Goddard had his one big game. I know Smith is back. A.J. Brown is back. So he's going to be, fourth fiddle now in that offense behind Saquon as well, catching passes. So you got to go with Kraft in this one.
Yeah, the Browns are – so when we get to the injury report, the Browns are going to be down both their starting safeties today. So that usually helps the tight end. But I think it's going to be more impactful in the deep passing game. I think A.J. Brown and company are going to really rip one here. Oh, another touchdown. All right, Caleb, start of the week. Love it. I got one.
Play of the week.
I got one. Yeah, Caleb Williams. At least I got one right so far. That's good.
No, he was short. He was short at second and goal right now.
All right, Jeff. Listen, don't be a dick. This is kind of weird. You're gotta being a dick today. I don't know what the hell's going on. First, it's the injury stuff. I have the thing ball lined up, and now this. I'm behind. Just let me have the moment. Jesus.
Anyway, Styles getting all excited. I'm just pissed. My Jags.
The Cleveland defense has always been really good against tight ends. So I'm gonna go Kraft. But at the same time, Goddard and Kraft. I'm telling you, Kraft is going to become an every week starter. Goddard is trade bait. Take an RB or a wide receiver, attach it to a Goddard. Go find the team in your league that has no tight end or struggling with tight end, and just get an upgrade somewhere. And listen, Official Savage, feel free to go check out your league right now. We'll do it on the show. Go check out your league. Find the team with the weakest tight end and say, hey, I got Goddard for you. I'll give you Goddard and this wide receiver 2 for this high-end wide receiver 2. Let's get it done. I think that's a very fair deal to make.
Epic fail. I read this question about 3 minutes ago, and I think it's a fantastic question. I'm not a big fan of answering these questions because we either look like geniuses or morons because there is no right or wrong answer. I just like that our listeners don't usually call us out the week after we've busted on one of these. So pick 2 PPR. Antonio Gibson, who, by the way, is the week 6 starter, but he was also the week 5 starter. He didn't look great. Ramondre came in and took over the game. However, Ramondre's out. Tyrone Tracy for the Giants is the starter. Singletary's out. Bob, did you want to say something?
No, it's fine. We're just going to, you know what, Matt? Why don't you just jump into all the injuries this week? All right, no worries.
Oh, okay. Darius Slayton. Darius Slayton's the clear wide receiver 1 with Malik Neighbors out. Rashid Shaheed will be the wide receiver 2 behind Olave, but with Derek Carr's injury and out, it'll be Spencer Rattler. Jalen Tolbert, Brandon Cooks is on the IR, so Tolbert will be the wide receiver 2. And it sounds like Christian Watson is off the injury report, which puts Dontavian Wicks back in the mix. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of 6. Bob, you can go ahead and cross those off your list. You're welcome. Even with the hurricane, I've stayed up on the news, and I pretty much know everything that you know at this point. All right, Jeff. So since Bob's busy lining out things he doesn't need to talk about, Pick 2 PPR. I kind of like what Tracy and Slayton did last week. I think it's fantasy football suicide to start 2 New York Giants. Bob, that's not a dig at you. It's just smart fantasy
Was it
football.
though? Was it not though? I feel like it might have been.
Um,
I have a hard time believing. You're trying.
But-
This is your week to get away with all this BS.
yes.
So I feel like this is the week where you feel like, hey, Bob, the hurricane. I'm a little fight. I'm gonna be a dick today. That's fine.
Yeah.
I'm okay with it. You and Jeff. I can't wait for Sky to come on. Sky will be super nice. Knowing Sky, he rocked out all night. He's gonna be super grumpy because he's been out all night working a wedding. He'll be grumpy this morning. He'll be a dick too. So this will be a whole. We're just gonna lose a bunch of people because all of us are just assholes.
Oregon won at the buzzer, right? So he's going to be on cloud 9. He's going to absolutely love the fact that the Ducks won last night. I think you could make worse moves than to say Tracy and Slayton. However, they are playing New England. Am I correct in that? I haven't looked at the schedule, but the Giants, is it
Giants are playing the
Bengals?
Bengals.
Giants are playing. Well, then I have no problem starting Tracy and Slayton in a game that
100%.
yeah, the script sets up well for them. If I had to pick a number 3, A and B, it would probably be Gibson and Tolbert, but I'm okay starting Tracy and Slayton. If you don't want to start the 2 Giants, give me Antonio Gibson with volume.
I like the Giants. The other 2 there. The one that stands out to me is Tolbert. I think he's the big wild card. The Lions are susceptible to the pass. And this could be a game with a lot of points. It's indoors. I kind of feel like I want a piece of that action in that game if I had a choice. So with that being said, Tyrone Tracy, he looks good. I think as a running back, he's going to get a lot of touches. So I personally, I'm going to go Tracy and Tolbert in this one. But I can see why you go Slayton over Tolbert.
Bob, you want to just go 2 Giants here, buddy?
No. Tolbert, no. I think Tracy is definitely the guy I like in this game. Out of all these guys, he seems to be. But Tolbert and Slayton are the 2 that I'm kind of going back and forth on because Detroit, like literally, the way you beat Detroit is throwing the football, and Dallas is at home, and Dak plays better at home, and so the role players play better at home, and so I'm gonna roll with Tolbert this week. I'm gonna go Tolbert and Tracy.
All right, and Bob, what's the over under in that Dallas Detroit game? It's got to be 56, 57, I'm guessing 55. Any idea on that one?
Idea? Let's see. Total for the Giants game, for the Cowboys game is 52.5.
Yeah, I would take the over if I was a betting person.
Giants.
All right.
The Bengals are at 46.
By the way, say again.
Giants and Bengals are at 46.
I would take the over on that as well. Timu Justin Fields, I'm getting from GR 3 fires, not good fire. That's the Colts organization on fire. But feel free, gentlemen, to use Timu Justin Fields anytime you're referencing Anthony Richardson. That's a freebie. That one is on me. You're welcome. Ohani Stanek, we know who this is, Bob. This is our guy Cool Whip, is it not?
Yes, it is.
It is. Good morning, dudes. A lot of buys for me today. Full PPR. Need to start a tight end and a flex. 2 of the 3. Oh, Jeff, this is the one where you snuck down and looked at it earlier, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. As much as I'm high on Dobbs today, give me Ferguson and Kraft and don't look back.
Yeah. Starting 2 tight ends after the start of tight ends being terrible for the first 3 or 4 weeks. Now we're offering advice to start 2. It's wild times. But definitely, though, I definitely like both those 2 tight ends over Dobbs.
It's an amazing time to be alive, Jeff. 2 tight ends.
Yeah, I mean, I like Dobbs because I feel like there's something like Dobbs has always been the guy where he's on the field all the time. He was a little frustrated. I mean, allegedly frustrated with his role. Apparently, it had nothing to do with his role. It had something to do with a personal matter. I don't even know what to believe anymore. But at some point, you think with his role in a matchup, I don't want to go 2 tight ends, but I'm gonna go probably 2 tight ends. So
All right,
in
Bob,
the
I'm going to flip this
Senate
over to
craft.
you after we see Jeff's reaction to both of these comments. ETN now hamstring, questionable return. Wah, wah.
Well,
Epic fail. RIP ETN.
We have like 5 more questions in here, so let's just ram through those, and then we'll jump into the injury report.
All right. Epic fail back. PPR, Gibson or Mixon? Is it crazy to consider since he didn't practice full this week and Pierce is full? For me, I don't care what Damian Pierce is doing. If Mixon is in the game, he's getting 15 to 20 touches. He won't get 30, 15 to 20. And I like him and his matchup over Antonio Gibson. Jeff?
Yeah, no, I agree. They're going to rely on Mixon, I think, on this one with Nico Collins being out.
Mixon for me, yeah.
There we go. Epic fail back. This is where Epic fail gets to typing, right? This is where the carpal tunnel on Sunday comes in. We're going to need to get ice packs for Epic fails, typing fingers. PPR pick 2, McLaurin, Pollard, Deontay, and Tracy. Bob, well, you're going to get into this in a minute. Is Deontay a full go? I believe he was listed as probably going to go. Everybody else on the list is healthy. Carolina's going to have to throw to win the game. Washington's going to have to throw to beat Baltimore. I don't love Tony Pollard right now. We like Tracy. If Andy Dalton can be Andy Dalton from his first 2 starts, give me Deontay and McLaurin, but I think I'm going to lean McLaurin and Tracy in this game or in this question. Nope, I'm going Deontay and Tracy. Final answer. Hit the buzzer.
This is a really tough one. I think all 4 of these guys can be starters based on all their matchups. I like Tony Pollard in this matchup. Coming off the bye, I really like Pollard. The Colts can be ran on. Jags proved that, and they have a terrible O-line. So I think that's going to be a fun game with Flacco now. So I'm going to go Pollard, and I think McLaurin is starting to develop that chemistry with Jaden Daniels. So you can't go away from that, and that's going to be another high-scoring affair. So I'm going to go McLaurin and Pollard.
I'm going to go McLaurin and Pollard as well. I think Tracy is a close with Pollard. I think he's neck and neck, but Pollard, that Colts, by the way, when we get to the injury report, when these guys don't, the offensive line and defensive line injuries I'm going to talk about, all right, folks? So there's going to be definite value there. There's a lot. The Colts front is just banged up. So I think that Tennessee should be able to run on them this week and get Pollard. Pollard's got 19 touches in 3 or 4 games this season. So I think Pollard and McLaurin make the most sense here.
All right, that's 2 for Pollard and McLaurin. I will bow out of this question. So our panel saying McLaurin and Pollard. Lindorphins, thanks, guys. Flacco's in. I'm rolling with Pittman. Oh, he doesn't want to be in yet, Bob. He wants to be. There you go. He wants to make a grand entrance with his Oregon hat.
It was a teaser. I just pop him up from time to time.
Good luck to you, Lindorphins. And by the way, Lindorphins, Bob, quick quiz. What is his handle regarding?
I don't remember. It was Dolphin. It was a band. Is it an artist? I don't remember.
You are incorrect 3 times. He is a Francisco Lindor fan. Mets, congratulations. They're in the NLCS versus the LA Dodgers. So the 2 worst city fan bases in the history of sports are playing in the NLCS. Ugh. Cosmo, half-point PPR. Cook over Bucky in my flex. If Cook ends up not starting, I could put in Kincaid. Nope. Bucky Irving to the moon. I am not risking anything with James Cook on Monday night, even if Kincaid, who hasn't done anything this season, is name value and should be there for me. Give me Bucky Irving on the road, starting. No Rachaad White. Bob, you're welcome. He is now not playing Sunday. So give me Bucky Irving to the moon. Jeff?
Yeah, these Monday night games, unless I don't even know who the backup would be for the Bills you even want to start. Ty Johnson? I don't know if Ray Davis gets some love.
Well, he would flex Kincaid in there.
Oh, okay, yeah. But see, I'm benching Kincaid. I don't like the Bills' offense right now. I'm not. I kind of called it earlier this season. I didn't think it's actually going to happen, but they can't really sustain drives. You know, Josh Allen completed 9 passes. Did you believe that? 9 passes?
9.
9
of 30.
That's bad.
Do the math.
Yeah, that's not good. So, yeah, I think with Bucky getting the start and having no one to compete with, you got to go with the volume.
Robert?
Yeah, I'm gonna. James Cook, by the way, Pro Football Doc talked about how James Cook is still, he might be limited, and there's re-aggravation. Also, Deepak does a really good job on Twitter. If you go follow him as well for injuries, there is injury risk in here, and I think Buck. By the way, Buck, this is it, boys. If you have Bucky Irving and Rashad White's out, you don't play him. Like, you gotta play him. This is it. The kid looks awesome, and the Saints' run defense hasn't been elite this season. So, like it has been in years past. So you can run on them a little bit. So I'm going to go Bucky Irving.
All right, so we're following up with another Bucky Irving question. Bucky Irving or Connor, half-point PPR. I'm going to go with the better football player in a game script where I think he's going to get a ton of action. So give me James Conner against the Packers, half-point PPR.
Yeah, this is a good problem to have. Man, is there any way to get both of them in your lineup? But if you can only get one, yeah, I think you have to go with Connor.
James Conner for me as well.
There you go. All right, Bob, we've got just a couple more. Lindorfin's back. Regarding tough wide receiver drops earlier, we have a roster max of 5. So with Neighbors out and buys, it was buys, B-Y-E-S. Come on, Lindorfin, step up the spelling game. It was getting tight before Pittman was announcing with Flacco. Thanks again for the thoughts. You're welcome. Savage, before we go to the injury report, with Goddard for Bucky Irving, good. My wide receiver depth is good. Running back I'm pretty light on, but not to the point I have to go get someone. Yeah, I would trade Goddard for Bucky Irving in a heartbeat right now. I want Bucky Irving on my roster more than I want Dallas Goddard.
Yeah, I concur.
Robert?
Yeah, I don't. I think if the team can do a 1-for-1 is fine, but honestly, I wouldn't be opposed to exploring the teams in your league that like going from. All right, this is the problem. I want to give a good example. So let me just look something up because
Now
I always
remember,
talk about.
he has Kraft and Goddard on the roster.
I understand. So what I'm saying is like going from, let's say, a Tony Pollard and Goddard to upgrade to maybe like a Josh Jacobs type or a James Conner type. Maybe if you can get that high. I don't know. Those kind of moves to where like you're clearly upgrading your running back position. You're going from like that low end RB2, the Pollards where they have a high floor, maybe like 10 to 12 points, but then you can get into that next level with James Conner, offering a team who doesn't have a tight end, but they still get you Pollard. Like that's the kind of trade I would like to see happen here. Like where you're getting an upgrade because I'd rather have Conner and Kraft than Pollard and Goddard rest of season. But the other team can justify the trade because now they have a solid tight end and they still get Pollard back in the trade. So something like that makes the most sense to me. Even if like Breece Hall, people are trying to trade him, maybe upgrading to Breece Hall in that scenario. So definitely, but Bucky Irving, if that's the trade, I don't hate it. If that's what you have to get from him, that's fine.
All right, Bob, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Thanks. I do not have it loaded, so let me just give me 1 second here.
Absolutely. You want me to bring the special guest in or just let him linger?
Just have Sky come in for just 1 second because I dropped the ball on that one because I have literally I'll have it ready in 30 seconds. Oh, the Ducks. Go Ducks.
Bob.
Yeah.
We haven't been on this show, I don't think, one time this season yet in 6 weeks. A lame ass go Ducks. Do you understand where I'm at right now? I got 4 hours of sleep like usual. I don't drink, and I feel completely hungover from the vibes. You know what I mean? If I could just let me hear. Let's run it back, Bob. Let's run it back. Can I get just a little more enthusiasm on that one? Go ahead.
Go Ducks!
Hey,
yeah,
let's go!
Right. Woo, all right.
Oh,
dude.
Shout out to Bucky Irving and Bo Nix
and Dylan Gabriel. Dylan Gabriel season. All right, Bob, you got to get in here quick, buddy. It's falling apart.
Yeah, I got it.
Oh, God. Go ahead.
Thanks.
I'll do my duck thing later.
Yeah, you guys, we'll get some questions rolling in here, guys. By the way, thanks for
And
joining, Sky. Now you can take 5 to 10 minutes. We're gonna jump
Hey,
in here.
I need a
Thanks,
nap
boys.
anyway. See ya.
There we go. I'll see you guys in a second. All right. All right, let's get some injury report this week, folks. Even though my great co-host basically said half of these already, so thank you, Jeff, and thank you, Matt, for blowing that for me. But today we're going to break down some of the key injuries that you need to know heading into Week 6. Obviously, Rashad White, we talked a lot about today already with Bucky Irving getting the start. Bucky Irving's now firmly on the RB2 map, so he's definitely going to start here. There is some rotation for the Bucks offensive line. Graham Barton, their center, will be out today, but Luke Goddard is back in, so not much to say there. There is a lot of injuries up front for the Saints. I know Derek Carr is out today, but they're going to be missing one of their guards. They're down to their third string center as well, so that could really affect Alvin Kamara and the running game today against that Bucks front. So honestly, if Alvin Kamara doesn't get checkdowns, I think Alvin Kamara is more of a RB2 this week than his true RB1 self. Maybe fade him in DFS. Taysom Hill is out. That means Juwan Johnson should get more looks this week, but the Spencer Rattler thing, we're not 100% sure what that's going to be. Another thing that I think is interesting, Will Harris, starting safety, and Pete Werner, linebacker for the Saints, is out today. I think Cade Otton, with the news of Rashad White being out and he's the more pass-catching running back, maybe Cade Otton gets a couple more throws towards him. I think he's not a bad streamer option this week in DFS play. Jumping down to the Commanders and Ravens, teams are both really healthy. Brian Robinson is out. Austin Eckler should be the main guy, but Jeremy McNichols is someone to look at if you need a deeper name to start this week in that matchup. Jumping down to the Cardinals, Packers, some injuries for the offensive line for the Cardinals. Will Hernandez will be out. Don't think that's a major issue. It's only one of the positions that is out today. Jumping to the defense side, the Cardinals are now healthy. Garrett Williams, their slot cornerback, is back. That is notable for Jaden Reed, but I think Jaden Reed still gets, obviously, I think the bigger news is that Watson and Dobbs are back in. Luke Musgrave is officially on IR. When you have Tucker Kraft, folks, please get him in your lineups this week. No, Luke Musgrave is going to boost his value. Jair Alexander is in. That is notable for Marvin Harrison. Granted, Alexander hasn't shadowed much this season, but it should improve. Granted, there has been guys like DeAndre Hopkins who has played well versus that Packers secondary, even with Jair Alexander in. I don't think I'm fading Marvin Harrison at all, but it is notable that Jair Alexander is in this week. Colts, Titans. Anthony Richardson, surprise inactive. He's not inactive, emergency third quarterback. That means Joe Flacco will be back running the reins. I think this definitely improves the matchups for Pittman and Josh Downs. But just remember, Josh Downs, the Titans are a slot funnel defense. If you go to our slot versus wide tool, the Titans are one of the teams that allow well over 50% of their fantasy points into the slot. So that is notable. So this season, the Titans have allowed the least amount of fantasy points out wide. So I think Pittman, yes, he's a wide receiver 3 in the playoffs matchup, but I think Downs is the guy you want with Joe Flacco in. Jonathan Taylor out. You definitely could stream Trey Sermon if you need to. Some notable updates for the offensive line for the Colts. Ryan Kelly, Braden Smith are both active. Even though they lost Will Fries, their starting guard, they are starting to get healthy up front. That should be helping them versus a tough front for the Titans. However, on the back end, flipping over to the other side, Kenny Moore is back in this week. If you're a Tyler Boyd owner in deeper leagues, probably should fade him versus a tough matchup against Kenny Moore. Julius Brents, Quinny Pay is back in. Julius Brents is out. Forrest Buckner is out. Tyquan Lewis is out. These are all three of these guys are main guys up front for the Buckner, Lewis up front, and Brents on the outside for the Colts. I like Tony Pollard today. I think Pollard's going to have a nice matchup. I actually have him in my DFS lineup this week, right around 6,000. So I actually don't mind Tony Pollard in his matchup this week. Texans, Patriots. We have Nico Collins, of course, on IR. When you dive into the numbers for the Houston Texans receivers, the New England Patriots are a slot funnel defense, which means that Stephon Diggs should really step up here. I think Tank Dell and Xavier Hutchinson are more risky starts. I think Stephon Diggs is the guy you want in this game with no Nico Collins. Of course, Joe Mixon and Dameon Pierce are back in. If you have Cam Akers, you could probably drop him. Pierce has been on waivers, so you could probably pick him up. Joe Mixon is right back into each lineups. Notable for the Texans secondary and Drake May's first start, their outside corner Lassiter and Jamie Ward, one of their starting safeties in the back end, are out today. So should help Drake May in that matchup as well. Risky start, especially in super flex leagues. But if you need to rationalize starting Drake May, there are some injuries to that Houston secondary. Ramondre Steven is out. That gives the nod to Antonio Gibson as the lead runner today. He has averaged a robust 5 yards per carry, so maybe he can get you some good RB2 numbers this week. But with Drake May starting, a lot of question marks in that offense. But we'll see. If you need a start, Antonio Gibson would be that guy. David Andrews, starting center, is out. That is big news for the rookie because he will be down his starting center. Could add more responsibility to him in this game. So either way, I actually think the Patriots defense is one of my favorite. If you read my DFS article this week, they're the cheapest defense on the slate because of the injury to Nico Collins. I actually think, and if you look at our home versus away splits, you know, CJ Stroud is a lot worse on the road. So if you need a DFS dart throw defense, don't look at further away from the Patriots. That could give you value this week. Browns at Eagles. A lot of injuries up front for the Browns, but the good news is they're getting their bookend tackles back. Their interior offensive line is no good. Wyatt Teller on IR. Now they're going to be down their starting center. That Eagles beefy front. I think the Eagles are a fun defense to start this week. I'd be concerned because two of their starting interior offensive linemen are out. On the back end, they'll be down both safeties. With Brown and Smith coming back in, that deep passing game could really be clicking today. I think A.J. Brown breaks off a long one, get him into your lineups this week. That also should help Dallas Goedert in a tough matchup against the Browns, but obviously the Browns have been really tough against tight ends this season, so maybe you just get a few more bumps to Goddard this week, but I don't think he's a must-start in any capacity. Steelers-Raiders, this one is a long one, folks. Obviously, Jalen Warren is back in. Honestly, Jalen Warren's one of the guys that I've been trying to get acquiring in all my leagues. Najee Harris hasn't looked great this season. Overall, it's just a lot of volume. Jalen Warren, I think, has a real chance to take over more work of that job, and this is a smash spot for him. So, honestly, if you need to plug in Jalen Warren, 6 score has a pretty high score on him for his knee injury. And we've heard a lot of the Twitter doctors, if you want to call them that, say that Warren should hit the ground running this week. Cordell Patterson being out should only help Najee Harris and Warren in their workloads. They will be down one of their better offensive guards, James Daniels, but we saw last week Najee Harris, it wasn't really great, to be honest with you, Harris. But anyway, on the other side of the football, the Steelers will be down some key guys in their front seven, which should help. We're still waiting on final word with Zamir White. Sounds like he will be out today. So if you need to start Alexander Madison with all the injuries to the receivers, maybe Madison gets a few more pass catching opportunities. Amir Abdullah is the pass catching running back. So if you're in a PPR league, if you're looking for a deep name, maybe Amir Abdullah can get you some PPR points this week with all the injuries to guys like Devontae Adams, Jacoby Myers, and Michael Mayer. Another key nugget here is Christian Wilkins, the stud defensive tackle for the Raiders is out today. This is another reason why the Raiders have been a smash spot all week. Harris is my start of the week, but Jalen Warren to me is someone you could definitely play with. Wilkins out, 2 starting middle linebackers are out, 2 of the middle guys for the front 7 for the Raiders. So right there, to be honest with you, with all those rotating injuries, I think that Jalen Warren is someone that I'm not overly concerned about starting in this game. Got one more. We had to put it on 2 pages here, so just give me 1 second. All right, afternoon slate. All right, Chargers at Broncos. Gus Edwards is on IR. Kaimimi Vidal is now the guy that people have been adding. I talked about Haseen Haskins earlier. He's a former Michigan guy with Jim Harbaugh. He's a special teams ace, so maybe it is Vidal. But honestly, I wouldn't be 100% convinced that Haskins doesn't get the RB2 work behind J.K. Dobbins. The Chargers are my favorite defense against the Broncos this week, but they will be down 2 starters in the secondary. This should definitely help with Asante Samuel and Jazir Taylor out. I think that Cortland Sutton does get a little boost in this game because of the 2 of the 3 starting cornerbacks are out. Josh Reynolds also being on IR. We could see more Troy Franklin this week. Go Ducks. Obviously with Bo Nix. Don't want to say anything bad about him. They will be down some guys up front. Luke Wattenberg, their starting center, and 2 right tackles are out. So they're going to be on their 3rd string right tackle against that nice duo of Joey Bosa and Khalil Mack. So I do think the Chargers do get to Bo Nix a little bit today. Falcons, Panthers are still waiting on Nate Landerman, the linebacker, because they will be down Troy Anderson. That could be huge for Chuba Hubbard. Even though the Panthers are also going to be banged up on the offensive line, Austin Corbett, Taylor Moton, the right tackle, is out today. So a couple injuries up front for the Panthers. The Falcons will be down a couple linebackers. Maybe that cancels out. But really the bigger story is the defensive injuries for the Panthers. Jadeveon Clowney, Shaq Thompson, Josie Jewell, Jordan Fuller. A lot of key starters up front and in the safety position are out today for the Panthers. I think this is the Bijan Robinson week, but Tyler Algier is someone, if you need an RB2, if you've been struggling with injuries, or if you got a couple guys out on bye, Tyler Algier is someone that could definitely step up in this game for the Falcons. Jump over to the Lions Cowboys. The Lions have been really good at stopping the run this season, but last time they played, they sprung a leak, and a lot of that's to do with the fact they've had some key injuries in their front seven. Marcus Davenport, Derek Barnes are out today. I think Rico Dowdle is someone I am buying long term. He seems to be taking a stranglehold on the starting job. Definitely someone you can play at home against the Lions. Brandon Cooks out. Jalen Tolbert should get the wide receiver 2 snaps again this week. I honestly don't mind Jalen Tolbert, especially if you need a spot start in a game that should be high scoring. Flipping over to the Cowboys defense, Eric Kendricks and the Dallas will be down 3 defensive ends today, along with Eric Kendricks, who's their best run-stuffing middle linebacker. David Montgomery's my start of the week at running back, if I could do that. He's a top 10 running back of the season, but he's in my DFS lineups. I bet his player prop for fantasy points this week. I'm all in on David Montgomery in this matchup. Bengals, Giants, Chase Brown and Zach Moss are in. Malik Neighbors and Devin Singletary are out. Slayton and Tyrone Tracy are both solid plays this week if you need them. Wan'Dale Robinson, of course, will have a tougher matchup against slot corner Mike Hilton. So I do think Darius Slayton is the guy you want if you want to start a Giants wide receiver. Kayvon Thibodeau, one of the better defensive ends for the Giants, is going to be out, and he's on IR. So that could be notable for the Giants, who have been playing well on defense. So we'll keep an eye on that. Finally, Monday, of course, Bills, Jets. James Cook, Khalil Shakir, Tyron Johnson, all questionable heading into this game. You know, I think the James Cook situation is risky. That turf toe injury is a huge question mark. The Jets, you can run against them, of course. So obviously, if you have to wait till Monday night, I know no one's going to like this call, but Ty Johnson's the guy I've stashed in a few leagues. Just because I think he does get the pass catching work anyway, and I think he's the more favorable guy they trust the most there. So I think Ty Johnson might get some RB2 work if James Cook is out. Khalil Shakir is probably the one game you're going to want to monitor in this game too, because Michael Carter, their slot corner, is out to end this game. So Khalil Shakir, if active, will be the guy you want to face, especially with the Jets having those premier outside cornerbacks, and they are a big-time slot funnel defense. So if Khalil Shakir is active, maybe we jump on some of those player props in that game. All right. That's all we got for the injuries today, folks. We did check out some of the weather. The only one that really stands out to me is Green Bay. The good news is when we were looking through some of the weather reports, it sounds like it's going to be just a first quarter thing. So obviously by the second quarter, I think that game should be fine, but something worth noting. Sky, welcome back to the captain's chair, my friend. I know you're a little groggy, but I'm hoping you get some of that euphoric Oregon Ducks beating Ohio State euphoria as you host the second half of the show.
Hey, Bob, you brought it up. There was a game yesterday, but I just checked the stats. Turns out there was. The last 8 losses for Ohio State as a program, they've been outrushed by their opponent. So if your school is playing Ohio State coming up, folks, tell the OC to run the ball. That's how you beat Ohio State. I do not condone spitting on people. Please don't do that. I also don't condone going for multiple 4th down conversions and 2-point conversions when you don't need to. Be safe out there, folks. Let's get it rolling. Go Ducks. PPR, Calvin Ridley, J. Mo. Styles, will go with
you. We've talked about Ridley, Sky, before you came on. The other 2 guys seem a little bit higher on him in the matchup. Jamison Williams is more of a boom or bust. So for Epic Fail, our guy, I'm going to go with kind of where Bob and Jeff were, and I'll lean Ridley. But frankly, I don't love Ridley until I see him do what he's supposed to do again. He's had one game with a couple of touchdowns, 1 rushing, 1 receiving, and then he just kind of went into hibernation. So let's ride the wave a little bit, even though it's more of a boogie board instead of a surfboard. So we'll take Ridley this time. Jamison, I'm going to sit. I think Bob is right. It's going to be Montgomery, Gibbs, Laporta, Amon-Ra today. All 4 of them are going to eat. I think Jamison Williams is on the negative end of that game.
I don't think I said that at all. I never said any of that. What
David
I
Montgomery?
said, I did say David Montgomery. I do think that's the case. Listen, for what it's worth, I don't know what it is schematically in Mike Zimmer's offense, but they have schemed more fantasy points have been allowed out wide. They have been one of the better defenses at eliminating slot points, where that's kind of where the hybrid Amon-Ra St. Brown role is. Obviously, you're starting Amon-Ra. He's a stud, but I do think that opens up some opportunities for Jamison Williams. I don't think Trayvon Diggs is going to shadow him. So I think Williams will get that work. I think that's going to be an awesome game. Give me everything I can get from that game. I'm going to go Jamison Williams over Calvin.
Oddly enough, Calvin Ridley is kind of boomer bust too. I mean, we just give we give JMO the boomer bust because he is, but Calvin Ridley kind of is as well. I think I just want the volume with Calvin Ridley, but they're both kind of risky for me.
All right, we're going to move on to Juan Pena.
Juan Pena, good morning. And if everybody's already been in and I say, hey, good morning, it's because I haven't seen you yet. Also, 200 people chiming in right now live on the Start Sit Show. So make sure you go ahead and give us a follow and hit that bell so you don't miss us every single Sunday and during the week. You can also get that podcast as well. Who are my wide receiver 1s and 2 and a flex? Let's build a roster, gentlemen. I already put in DJ Moore, so I guess I just put in the wide receiver 2. Wan'Dale Robinson, Calvin Ridley, Tank Dell, Slayton Tolbert, Trey Tucker, Ray McLeod, Josh Jacobs, and Jerome Ford. So we already have one receiver in there with DJ Moore, already played across the pond. Let's go with a second wide receiver and a flex. Styles.
The DJ Moore is a disappointment, right? He's kind of going 1 week in, 1 week out. He's 4 for 20 today. They don't have any reason to throw the football anymore. So that's kind of a disappointment. I hear what Bob said. I love Wan'Dale. He's in a tough situation with the slot cornerback matchup. So I'm going to lean back outside for wide receiver 2 with Tolbert in a game that they're going to have to score a lot of points, with Slayton being right behind Tolbert on my list. And for flex, I'm going to play Josh Jacobs, and it's not really close for me.
Man, this is like a really good Juan. This is like the toughest question I've seen in a while. Like, because Ridley,
this is a great bench. He's put together a good roster.
And Tolbert are like all right there for me. Like Calvin Ridley, and like Tank Dell. Like, I don't want to poo-poo Tank Dell either. Like, I know it's a tough matchup against the Patriots on the perimeter, and no Nico Collins should get him more work. But I just not overly excited about that game from CJ Stroud being on the road. So call that my bias this week. But Ridley, Slayton, and Tolbert are the 3 guys that I'm like looking at where, oh shit. I think Jacobs is in. I'm going to go Tolbert. And now the question is Ridley versus is Slayton, man. Give me Slayton. Let's go Slayton. And here's my rationale. I have no idea. I'm not convinced that Ridley is the true alpha with Hopkins back healthy. I honestly, we've seen Hopkins get the work too. So is Will Levis going to support 2 really good receivers plus Pollard and Spears and Tyler Boyd? I don't know, man. I'm going to go Slayton. I'm going to ride the wave. Let's go. Tolbert, Slayton, Jacobs.
All right.
So Guy, if you could mark down our first Tyler Boyd reference of the show.
Yeah, nice. No, I have a book dating back to
was
it 2000? Was it 2018, Bob? I can't remember if it was.
No,
it was 2018.
It was Jamar Chase's rookie season.
So I have. Yeah. Anyway, so to answer his
Good
question,
call, Bob.
He's already played DJ Moore. So Bob, let's clean this up a little bit. Let's clean it up for the fans here. Refocus. I know we're excited about Slayton, but we need 1 wide receiver and 1 flex. You mentioned 3 names. Let's trim it down a little bit, please.
Tolbert and Jacobs.
Got it. I'm going to go Jacobs, and I'll go Tolbert as well. Like what you guys said earlier, I was spying on you behind the scenes, which was Dallas and the auxiliary players. I like that indoor game. Should be somewhat of a shootout. Dak at home, yada, yada. And, of course, I'm playing Josh Jacobs. Juan Pena coming around again. Which defense should I go with? Atlanta, Chargers, Raiders, Titans? Love the DST question. Styles.
It's not the Raiders, even though they are playing against Justin Fields at home. Atlanta has – who did we say Atlanta has? Panthers. That's probably my decision. Atlanta against the Panthers.
The
Chargers have
Dalton
a decent
Dalton
matchup,
Panthers.
too. What's that?
The Dalton Panthers.
Yeah, I need.
doesn't
By the
strike
way, G
fear.
League. I need Dalton to be Joe Montana and Steve Young in G League today. So.
Oh my God, can you imagine if Joe Montana you ran the ball? Holy smokes! Anyway, go ahead.
So good. Or if Steve Young threw it, I don't know.
Young was a beast.
I know he was a beast, and left-handed. If you forgot about that,
I do remember. There's not many of us.
Yeah, give me Atlanta. I would say if there's still defenses on your wire, and one of them is Tampa Bay or one of them is Philadelphia, I would probably start either over these four.
I'm gonna go Chargers. I feel like they have a high floor this week. A couple injuries up front for the Broncos, so I think that Bosa and Matt can get to Knicks enough and cause some havoc. So I'm gonna go Chargers.
Yeah, I don't fade my Ducks generally. Certainly not after yesterday. However, and Bo's look good, but I'm a little bit worried about that up front as well. And Bo's been really great, but rookies under pressure is never ideal. So I'm going to lean Chargers, but I actually like the Falcons here. And shout out to Styles diverting to the waiver for the DST questions. I mean, it's not like there's a lot of just streaming options out there. So play the matchups, play the injuries. I like that suggestion, but I'll go Chargers by a nose over the Falcons. All right, GR, we got the stream chat. Been a little wonky. No worries. Sorry for spamming a repeat question. Don't be sorry about that. If it gets too much, I'm going to call you out by name just because it's annoying for everybody else. But GR, good news. It has not been an issue, so don't worry about it. And sorry, the connection has not been great on your side. Half PPR, Eckler, Downs, Sermon, Brian Robinson out in Washington.
So we're looking for one player, I'm assuming. We were earlier, as soon as we got the Joe Flacco starting news, we're all in on Josh Downs.
We got a Ducks win and Joe Flacco on Sunday. Like, who cares? Like, just end the week. Just end the week now. We don't even want to watch football.
And Sky, so the only thing we've seen from GR so far, and I'll catch you up on the show chat. This is the only comment, and I will let you decide who came up with the Temu Josh Fields moniker and what player that was directed at.
Bob seems like an Amazon Prime guy, so that's got to be you, Styles.
Yep, you're correct there. What player was that directed at?
Temu Justin Fields. Oh God.
Let's see how hungover.
Now I'll give you a hint. It's relative to the player we're most excited about starting today.
Oh, well, it can't be Rashad White because he's out, so Bucky Irving's off the table. Let's go. Well, Flacco to the moon, rushing quarterback, Anthony Richardson.
All right.
Let's go.
Let's go, Ducks. Let's do it. Get in there.
Nice. Man.
All right, so for me, it's Downs to the moon with he's in Joe Flacco's backpack. Let's go, Josh Downs. Bob, you're Josh Downs, yeah?
Oh, yeah. I'm Downs this week. Yep.
I'm Downs too. Are we not hyped enough on Austin Eckler? Can we spend 8 more seconds on Eckler? If you guys talked about him already, I'm sorry. But, I mean, Ravens have not been the Ravens. And I just feel like he could get 10 dump downs.
True.
Plus the work, plus goal line, plus a 50-yard burst last week, gentlemen. He's still got a little bit in the tank.
He looks good.
He does look good. He was unhealthy. He had a high ankle sprain coming in, splitting work. Robinson's out. I mean, I'll go Downs with you guys too, just to keep the Flacco hype. But I'm stoked on Eckler.
And Bob, do you have some stats way in the back of your Bob brain that has Jaden Daniels on checkdowns? Like, is he throwing a lot to? I don't think, from what I've seen, again, eye test, I don't remember him throwing a lot of checkdowns.
Matt, I'm slightly offended. All right, listen, I'm gonna need you to just actually, I'm not offended. I'm wrong. I was gonna say we do have defensive targets by position, so I don't have so forget what I was just gonna say. Go ahead.
Oh, what I can tell you is, speaking of Austin Eckler here, 4 targets, 3 targets, 2 targets, 2 targets. That's not the opportunity load we're even looking for from vintage Austin Eckler. Rush attempts on top of that, 2, 8, 3, and 6. So he's not getting a lot of work. Last week, obviously, was inflated by the huge run. We love that. So let's go downs here. I just don't, Austin Eckler might be somebody that you're fading into a flex position or picking up for a running back. And I think he gets extra work this week with Robinson out.
Can we just say this one thing? The one thing I will say to this situation is that the Ravens are favored, right? So when you're looking at this game, the only game they lost was against the Tampa Bay Bucks in week 1. And when you're looking at that game, that's the one game where they had 14 carries. Thank God that but they had 7 receptions in that game between the two main running backs. So I think Eckler might get a little more catches, but the Ravens are good against running games. Like, they're good against running backs. So, yeah, Eckler, maybe we should probably think more about Eckler this week versus Downs because he is a running back. It's half PPR. But at the same time, the Downs, when you watch Downs with Flacco, I think it's a different player. It's a different situation. Like, he is – and by the way, the Titans are going to force the ball to the middle the way they're set up. But since it's half, I do kind of feel a little hesitant to just say automatically Downs over Eckler. But that's a good call out, Sky. I'm still going to go Downs. I like Flacco. I like the fact the Colts defense can't stop anybody, and so that causes more volume for everybody. But yeah, it's a good call out. That could be a big game. Yeah. I don't know now. I don't feel too great about it anymore. Eckler.
Whoa, just changing on the spot, Bob.
Yeah, well, because it's the Ravens' defense is good. They are good at stopping running backs. But you make a good point about the passing game usage because the one game they lost, there was 8 targets to the running back, 7 receptions, over 100 yards when they lost to Tampa Bay in week 1. And ever since then, they've dominated everybody. They're not going to dominate well, I shouldn't say they can't, but I don't believe they're going to dominate the Ravens on the road. So I do think that this is going to offer some more, behind the Ravens a little bit, maybe, but God, I just like to go with Downs. I really do, but I actually think Eckler is probably the smarter play here.
Yeah, I see Jaden Daniels rushing for 100 today.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be really fun just seeing Lamar and Jaden Daniels, who, Styles, if you remember, you and I were doing a bunch of episodes together over the summer, and I kept, we were fading Caleb Williams. By the way, shout out to the Bears, 4 touchdowns for Caleb today, so I know Matt loves that. But you and I had Jaden Daniels as our number 1 quarterback coming in before he got drafted. And then he got drafted to Washington. We're like, we'll see what happens. Here we are. But we kept saying he's Lamar Jackson, quote unquote. And we seem to have a guy like that in each draft class, but he really is the truth. And he's shown that so far. So I agree with you, man. Those guys playing each other, I think it's going to be really fun to watch. The quarterbacks on the ground, oddly enough, today. See what happens.
Yeah. So I'm sticking with Bob. I'm going to be Downs with the sickness and believe that's the fun play of the day. So give me Downs with the sickness. Name that man, Bob.
8th most targets to running backs per game this season. That's the Ravens. So.
I got you, Matt. Shout out Disturbed and middle school Sky. We'll move on.
Yes, and so the college styles for sure. Yep, and incoherent Bob just didn't pick up on the reference, but that's
Bob.
Okay.
Bob, were you like a good Charlotte Sum 41 guy, or is this
3 doors down?
3 doors down. Okay, yeah, a little. I understand. I was more on like the heavier side, but respect.
Yeah. Big
Kyle
Bob's
Singer,
a big Alanis Morissette fan. Big, isn't it ironic? Big song for Bob back in the day.
I got into rap in like 9th grade, so I was like all 50 Cent, Lil Wayne by then. But yeah, early on in the career, it was 3 doors down was my go-to. Yeah,
that makes sense.
That was
yeah, that makes sense. A ginger running the streets of New Jersey, being a big rap fan in middle school. I love to see that.
Yeah, I had flavor back in the day.
I love
folks. Look out! Like, yeah, I'm being a stiff now, but I was cool. I used to frost my tips, people. All right, I used to be hip as hell. All right.
Yeah, I would say the flavor was probably vanilla.
Maybe. God. Maybe a little cardamom. Put a little maybe a little turmeric in there for Bob.
Yeah, the base of the ice cream's vanilla, but you throw in some chocolate chips in there, some
coffee
caramel
bean or
sauce.
two.
I'm a toppings guy. That's what I did. I had a base ginger vanilla flavor, and then I added a bunch of toppings, and I became pretty cool. All right, so it is what it is.
That's so amazing.
Awesome. The wasabi of seasonings is not Bob Lamarco. I promise you that.
I'm not spicy. I'll admit that. But I taste well. I taste pretty good, though. All right? That's all I can say.
Oh man, nice. It's good to be back.
But it didn't take Sky but about 15 minutes to have the host show devolve. He chased Jefferson off, and we've gone down
We
gangster
haven't even
rap
addressed that.
and
Sorry, boys.
flavors.
The internal turmoil between Jeff and Sky,
Yeah, I
It's
mean,
just-
And by the way,
couldn't even be
Sky,
on the
he
show
did
together.
accuse you before you were on the show. He accused you of coming in and being nasty to him today. Like he's always the pin cushion, right? Everybody's always getting on Bob. I was nice. I thanked everybody for checking in on me during the hurricane. Scott Eminger, he has now purchased 3.5 or 2.5 shingles for my roof. So
Scotty's the best.
yeah, we're gonna every other dollar that comes in is not going to go to the kids. It's going to go to my roof.
Yeah, kids
Once
will
we
take care
get
of
to
themselves.
$1,250, which is my deductible for
The kids will take care of themselves.
We're not worried about the kids, folks. Let's get Matt a roof.
You know
remember what Michael Jordan said about them kids, right?
Right. I
Yes.
do. I do remember. Well, for you parents out there, you might feel the same. Let's go back up to Kyle because surprisingly, we haven't even gotten to his question in the last 15 minutes. Hey, Kyle, if you're still with us, I sort of apologize, but also this is what we do here on Sundays. So appreciate hanging tough. Kyle Singer coming back. Here we go. Boom. Pick one, full PPR. Coleman, Shakir, if he plays, or Dobbs. I know you guys talked about Dobbs a little bit earlier, but man, this thing has been weird. Matt, I know you got the Green Bay, boots on the ground here, but being suspended for a personal matter and all this kind of stuff, it's kind of funky. But what are we doing in Buffalo?
For me, I love Shakir. Loved him coming into the season. I faded Coleman. I will continue to do that. I'm not a big fan of waiting on Monday night players to set my lineups. However, Coleman can be seen as an insurance policy for Shakir. He certainly is not currently the wide receiver that Shakir is. I like Dobbs for a bounce back. To me, it feels, right? It's all feeling for me on this one, that he's made nice with the front office and the head coach and the OC. He's made nice with the receiver room. And I have a feeling that Jordan Love says, all right, let's get our guy back in the fold. Let's get him some love. Let's show, no pun intended. Let's make sure he knows he's part of the team, part of the family. Let's chuck the ball to him a little bit, get him involved often and early, which means that he's probably going to have 1 for 7 and a fumble lost. I think the safest play is probably to go Monday night with whoever's playing. Shakir to me is the best receiver of the three, but he's dinged up. I still don't like Keon Coleman. If I had to rank them, it would be Shakir, Dobbs, Coleman. But with the injury, this is a little bit of flip the coin, right? Which is why Kyle's here. If you want the sure thing, as far as guaranteed snaps, play Dobbs. If you're willing to gamble a little bit, right? Put $100 on 13 black, then go and wait on Monday night. If Shakir plays, you start him. If not, you play Coleman and take whatever results you get. For me, I'll play Dobbs. A little bit safer play for me.
Yeah, I was a Dobbs guy heading into the season. Hasn't materialized a little bit because Jordan Love got hurt, right? We haven't really. It was the first game against the Eagles in Mexico, and then he got hurt, and then Dobbs was out. So we haven't even seen Dobbs really play with Jordan Love for a full complement of snaps yet. This is a game where I think it'll be a relatively higher scoring. I know there's a little bit of weather that can impact the first quarter. But I'm going to go with Dobbs. It would have been Shakir for me, absolutely, but I think there's a good chance he sits out based on what Pro Football Doc said. I do not want to start Coleman on the outside against those Jets corners, so I'm going to go Dobbs as well.
Don't sleep on Tyler Bass against the Jets on Monday night if you need that streaming kicker.
Yeah, these AFC East games always have some kicker going nuts for 7 field goals or whatever in a game, so actually streaming Bass myself. 7 targets, 3 targets, 2 targets, 8 targets, and a season high of 62 yards has yet to score, Romeo Dobbs. I think I'm just going to roll with the Monday Nighter as well. Jeff brought up right before he took off. Am I like a mean guy? I poke some fun. I call people out. I keep things rolling here. But I feel like Jeff and I have a great rapport. We're going to have to bring that up on Tuesday. I feel mildly offended that he would assume I'd come in here and get after him about something. I feel like he's doing just great.
Well, can we all agree there's on the show, there's one bad cop. Then there's like a bad deputy who can get sucked into the bad coppedness, right? So the bad cop is clearly me.
Sure.
I can get Sky into my camp for a little bit. He gets a little spicy. He wants to dig a little bit. And then he realizes, wait, I'm Sky. I'm nice guy Sky, not 1987 or 92 Sky that had some issues.
Yeah.
And so you kind of want to be that's okay. I'm okay being bad cop. And by the way, we don't have Derek in here. We don't have Ben. We can't be mean to Ben because then we'd be racist against Australians, and none of us are that people. And I don't think it's a race, but that's okay.
No, that'd be prejudice, but go ahead.
Yeah, prejudice. It's been a long week, buddy, but thank you for correcting me. And maybe there's Deputy Sky right there. Just a nice little correction. No hate, no malice. I'm okay with that. So with that, I think that they wanted you to be dragged down today, and you're not going to do it. Why?
No, dude.
That's why.
I mean, yeah, number one team in the country, at least for a week. We'll see what happens. I mean, we just play week by week, quarter by quarter, win the day here in Eugene. That's what we do.
Win the next play.
Yeah, for the OGs that remember the blur of fury that we had, which is the college version of the Rams offense in the early 2000s with Chip Kelly and all those guys. Chip Kelly's the OC at Ohio State. So that felt a little extra nice to just knock that off there here in Eugene. All right, moving on. Let's get it going here. Jeff, I love you. It'll be all good on Tuesday. Won't make it happen. All right, Hiram, good morning. Haven't seen you in a while. Start 2, PPR. Happy Sunday. Happy Sunday. Always great to be here. 2, PPR, Pollard, Eckler, Dowdle. Pollard, Eckler, Dowdle. Bob, go first.
Pollard and Eckler.
Eckler and Dowdle. Shout out to Sky's G League.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Styles. A, I want that to happen. B, I just think it makes sense. Dowdle's been nice, and I like that Cowboys offense at home. I'm going to take Eckler as well. I brought it up earlier, and I'm going to stick with it. Let's go with Eckler and Dowdle.
And just so you know, Sky, before you signed on, I verbally have selected Dowdle for 2 touchdowns today, which means
that's fine with me.
He's going to go 13 for 28.
No touchdowns.
1 catch for 4 yards.
Nice, thanks. Appreciate that. Cam, good morning. I like the anchor there.
Look, and he matched the color of his letter. Nice.
Yeah, maybe that's like maybe Cam's in the Navy. Maybe he's just maybe he's a huge Popeye fan. We don't really know. Cam, maybe you can let us know. Last minute. That's true, folks. 13 minutes to kick off here.
Huge Popeye fan.
Hey. No? Is that an unrealistic suggestion?
Yes. I mean, it's quite unreasonable.
Yeah, hey. I don't know, man. That I don't know if that flies for me.
Hey,
I don't
know. Hold on. Let's pause here. You guys want to get into the deputy thing? Cam could be in his mid 70s. Okay, like my pops. My pops. And the Three Stooges, the original Looney Tunes, and Popeye controlled my dad's life for about 15 years. That's fair. Cam, Vanderbilt fan, anchor down. Way off. But I like the suggestions.
Because if you just look at our demos, we're huge in the 70-plus market right now. So Cam, our statesman, our older statesman who's just huge on Popeye.
I feel that's a dig towards me, right?
Get spinach. Get the guy some spinach already. And
so I figured like Cam could be like Matt in their mid 70s, tuning in to get a little bit of NFL situation. Look, maybe we have some elder investors looking to help out some folks on the program that could use a few bucks right now. Who knows? Anyway, Cam. All right, last minute PPR Downs Ridley.
Let that be a lesson to you.
To keep it
up. It's this.
I can't tell which one's better. All right, League, we got Downs and Ridley here. We got a couple more questions, folks. We got 12 minutes to kick off. We got 10 minutes for questions. Get us your last minute questions. I know we're messing around a little bit here at the end, but we're here for you at the end. Downs, Ridley, we've talked about them both extensively. Let's do it one more time. PPR.
Bob, what do you think? It's Downs to the moon. Downs with the sickness.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I think this is. I think Downs is going to be our guy today. I can't wait till he goes for 4 for 40.
Bob and Sky, let me shout this out to you. our buddy Derek, who his son is actually presenting his Eagle Scout project right
Nice.
now, which is why we don't have Derek today. Shout out to young Derek for getting that all taken care of. That's a big thing for a youngster.
Absolutely.
Our guy Derek is a Vanderbilt grad, so yeah, this is maybe this is Derek's burner, and he's sneaking a couple texts where his wife Kelly doesn't see him. He's just going by Cam, right? He typed it in real quick, 3 letters. But we're Vanderbilt fans because of family here. So good for Cam, good for Derek.
Yeah, great baseball school as well, which Bob of course knows.
David
And
Price.
shout out to Jay Cutler as well. There, Vandy
4th
alum.
greatest Packer quarterback of all time, Jay Cutler.
Oh man, nice. Charles Woodson owns his jersey. I love that. No, but an Eagle Scout. Oh, Eagle Scout too. Look at Cam Home. We need to stick on Cam for a second. Cam is just checking all the boxes here, folks. Also an Eagle Scout. Good work, Cam.
All right, we're gonna have to do so. I need somebody on the internet to break down where Cam's residing right now. If he's in Massachusetts, we know it's Derek's burner. Which, by the way, we've never accused Derek of having a burner. Bob has multiple burners,
Right.
which we haven't seen in weeks. So he's either like 4-1 in fantasy, or yeah, we haven't seen them unless he's Hiram Gatto Jr. But I don't think he is.
No. Hiram's been around for a while. We know that. All right, Marius, let's get to you, bud. Sorry. Pick 2, Pickens, Ridley, Slayton. Bob?
Man, this Slayton Ridley thing's gonna haunt my dreams. I think Slayton's the way I leaned this week. I don't really know what to expect of the Pickens thing right now. Like it was really weird. He's lost snaps because he's getting like load management at a receiver position. Like, it just sounds like to me that there's something going on there. And so I'm gonna go Slayton. I'm gonna roll with the vibes. Sunday Night Football. Let's do it.
Yeah, let me. Who did you take there, Bob?
Slayton.
It's 2. Pick 2 of them, buddy. You get 2.
Oh, I get 2? Shoot. The Raiders are a pass funnel defense to the slot, but they're not really that bad overall. I mean, I'm going to go Ridley and Slayton.
Yeah, I think that Ridley and Slayton might be the answer. Is this, by the way, news out of Pittsburgh. Russell Wilson practiced in full all week. He is the official number 2. He was brought in to be the starter with Fields being the backup. It hasn't played out that way. Word out of Pittsburgh is that the locker room belongs to, drum roll, anybody? Sky, you're the musician. The locker room belongs to Justin Fields.
Yeah.
And part of that is because Russ is kind of cringeworthy with his taglines and his, all of the shit that he says, and the fact that he might be a little bit washed, or might be a lot of it washed. So Russell Wilson starting, I like Pickens more. Justin Fields starting, I'm not a fan of any receivers for Pittsburgh. So by default, give me Ridley and Slayton. I think of the best, or of the 3, Pickens is clearly the best receiver today. But he's got some issues right now, and Mike Tomlin, he don't play. So give me Ridley and Slayton by default, not Pickens until they clean house.
Yeah, I agree. Would Justin Fields be like Tommy Hilfiger, Anthony Richardson?
Is Tommy Hilfiger a thing still?
I have no idea. But that's what I mean. Like Justin Fields is like hit or miss. He was super hot in the night. Bob knows. Bob was a Tommy Hilfiger kid. I guarantee you.
I don't care about clothes. I wore T-shirts that had no logo on them. Give me a Hanes.
I bet you Bob was wearing 3X champion white T-shirts.
Nice. Yeah.
FUBU?
Again, dude. Hey, a ginger rolling the streets of Jersey. You got to fit in somehow, man. I feel that. A couple how you dones, every once in a while. Like I can feel that. We have an update here. Also, we have an update out of South Carolina. Cam is from South Carolina, so this is not Derek. We also have another update here that official Savage, who we thought was kind of this kind of makes sense now that we're getting this back together. Savage and Matt have had decades-long rivalry here, and now it turns out it's Bob's other burner with all the hype questions and the kickers. That does make sense there, so appreciate you guys clearing that up for us a little bit. So Cam and official Savage, we appreciate you guys tuning in all the time.
I love how like he's like, why do you think I hype up kickers and weather?
And weather.
Nothing gets me
That's your
going.
thing.
That's like what I'm known for. But hey, you got to carve out a niche. You know what I mean? So I've done it. I really do appreciate it. Like,
I love it.
Doesn't know shit about quarterbacks, running backs, wide receivers, but the man knows his weather and kickers, baby. I love it.
Thanks for the injury reports every week, Bob. We appreciate you tuning into the program.
No problem.
Thanks so much. All right, Boston Billups. I would imagine this is a relative of Chauncey.
For sure.
Slayton, Sermon, Tolbert, bench one. We're starting.
He's also got McConkey.
And McConkey. Thank you very much. Let's do it one more time. Slayton, Sermon, Tolbert, McConkey, bench one.
McConkey for me.
Same.
Yeah, again, this doesn't count as fading my Ducks because it has nothing to do with Justin Herbert necessarily. But I just
by the way,
like the situation in San Diego or LA.
Think about what happened here on Boston's question. Inadvertently hits enter before McConkey, which means he has McConkey inadvertently
in the lineup,
last in his head.
Yeah, I agree. That's the vibes check there.
That's a Dr. Phil thing. I'm in your head right now.
Nice.
And Sky, I'm going to give you a little inside info. Let's act like Bob's not here. Another reason I believe official Savage to be a Bob burner is when Bob pronounces official Savage, he calls official Savage.
Yeah,
so
which is
Bob
not the case.
thinks of himself as a street savage, right? Street smarts, guy's good to go, little gabagool, right? The gold chain. We've already talked about the gold chain. Bob had the gold chain. I believe he had an earring too, left ear. So yeah, I think that is we're going to have to get some GPS. We're going to have to do 48 hours, right? And Dateline, and let's see if we can get a cell phone ping for that phone. I bet you it's sitting right in San Diego County.
I got a question for the group before. Sorry, let's get to DG Wavy because I have a question about CJ Stroud. So let's get to this one. We're all
you got it. 4 minutes. 4 minutes to kick off. We'll call it 3. This is the last question on the docket unless anyone else has them. So get them in. We'll cut the gabagool and we'll make sure we get all your questions in. You got 3 minutes, folks. DG Wavy, Josh Downs, Marvin Harrison Jr. PPR to the moon that far, gentlemen?
No, Maserati Marv for me.
Maserati Marv.
I'm gonna go Marvin Harrison as well. Yeah,
this is going to be a bounce back game for Ohio State, so I'll go with Marvin Harrison as well.
So Josh Downs had 98% support today.
It was a lot. Yeah, it was a lot.
We have one every week. We have one. We have one guy every week.
Is it getting too cute sitting CJ Stroud on the road against the Patriots without Nico for Joe Flacco?
Buddy, you play Flacco every time you have a chance to play Flacco. It's that simple.
You have to ride the wave, Bob. Like you're literally keeping his jersey sales afloat single-handedly. So I think you have to roll with that. I have a similar one. I got Jordan Love, Jared Goff, and Jaden Daniels. I'm going to go with Daniels because I need a boost after Thursday night's games just with the rushing opportunity. So I'm going to go him over Love, although, of course, I love Jordan Love there. Any last-minute questions? Okay, official Savage coming in here. Eckler or Reed, PPR flex, Bob?
I'm right in the high end with Reed. I'm not going to sit him.
I'm playing that if it's Jake Reed, but it's not. It's Jaden Reed. So Reed either way.
98 Vikings are the best team that never was. I mean, absolutely phenomenal squad. Oh, dude. Jake Reed. Wow, great call.
All right, Sky, before we sign off, I want to give you another shout out. And Bob, you guys know I went through some shit. And so to both of you, from me, from Jen out in the living room, I told her each time you guys text, thank you for checking in on us. We're good. Got a little bit of cleanup, some repairs to do. We got the hurricane shutters off of 3 houses yesterday.
Nice.
We're exhausted, but we're good. And big ups to everybody that's fighting through this thing and cleaning up. And let's hope that we don't have to do this for a long, long time. So thank you guys for checking in. It means a lot. You know who your friends are when stuff like this happens. So thank you very much.
Yeah, man. Love you guys. I've been in the thoughts, bro. And I got a lot of friends and family in Florida as well with my trips down there for music. So it's been a brutal time. And Up in the West Coast, we have ice, and it's pretty brutal, and fires and all that too. So everywhere in the country has something now. So we wish everybody in the Southeast, Western Florida specifically,
Speaking of ice, do we have a new nickname? Ice Bobby.
Oh my!
Ice Bobby. A1A, Beachfront Avenue.
I kind of like that. Is that better than Bobby Two Palms though?
I think it is.
Maybe it's a vibe thing.
Yeah, I think it's a vibe. Yeah, we'll figure out how to use it.
Nice. I love it. All right, folks, we are officially kicking off around the country here for the morning slates. I'm going to run us out here. Of course, we appreciate everybody tuning in on Sunday. A special shout out to our friend Jefferson, and I'm going to call him personally and make sure that he and I are square before Tuesday, because that could get really awkward on the air if he and I have beef that I don't know about. So big up to everybody tuning into the program per usual. Nice to have the boss back in the captain's chair there. Bobby Lamarco on X. We got Maddie Styles coming in strong, holding strong in Florida. Big up to our St. Louis Cardinals. Looking forward to 2025, as well as the New York baseball Giants as well. Yikes. Had a bye week in the last 3 months of the season. That's Styles08. You can find me, Sky Guasco. You can also find the Ducks anywhere you enjoy college football, sitting at number 1 in the country. And big up to my man Puddles and the crowd surfing there at Autzen. Catch us every single night on YouTube right here. Make sure you hit that bell. Make sure you subscribe and you catch all of our episodes rolling with us. We also have, of course, the podcast as well for anybody. My puppy's setting up his lineups as well and frustrated. Can you hear that? He's ready to go. You can catch the podcast anywhere, listening to audio as well. Make sure to subscribe and hit that bell. All of our articles, all of our great writers. Matt is back in the place, sitting at 1,000 on Reddit and YouTube, and his articles, making sure to get all of your questions answered. So that's football.razzball.com. Bless up to the boss for sitting in for Maddie Styles last week on the article. But we got everybody else up there as well. Dave, Jeff, and Derek holding it down. Rudy and Beadon. Everybody on the article side is doing such a great job this season. We have exclusive tools ready for you too. Best of luck to everybody's week 6. We'll catch you next week on the Razzball Fantasy Football Start Sit Show, 2 hours before your kickoff on Sundays. 200 of you tuning in. We hope that you have subscribed and appreciate it. Best of luck to everybody, and reluctantly go Mets. And I will see everybody next Sunday. Have a wonderful time. Best of luck. Take care of yourself and each other. We are out of here.